Welcome to Midday Word, part of Lovechurch Online, and my name is Jeff. I'm going to continue with my journey through my Christian faith. I shared with you yesterday, if you were listening, about my miraculous moment that changed my life, the motorcycle accident where I came away unscathed. And today I want to tell you how this really did become a watershed moment, because not only can I remember that vividly, that happened some 37 years ago, but I can also see where God was in every step of his plan. And I come from a Canadian family where I was a middle child with two younger sisters and one older brother. I had a mother who was a slightly charismatic Christian, and a father who was the opposite, and an alcoholic. On both sides of my mom and dad's family, alcoholism was saturated. That's probably the most appropriate word. I had uncles who were alcoholics. I had cousins. My own older brother's an alcoholic. My father, my grandfather. So I saw a lot of this this pain and this damage, at first hand. And when I had this motorcycle accident, God really made it clear to me that alcohol was a problem, and that you can look at Old Testament verses that talk about generational curses, and I think that I've seen living proof of that. So it was time to put a stop to that. And the way that God was so unique in putting a stop to this is that he used a Canadian who typically we fit the stereotype of being rather conservative to have the opportunity to venture out. And I was full of adventure. I loved doing extreme sports and I loved doing various things, so I was up for an adventure. But this adventure was going to take me somewhere beyond my dreams. And for the first time, and it doesn't happen very often, God's plan and Jeff's plan seemed to be on the same page. So what happened? Well, I had the opportunity to teach in my hometown because I now had my teaching qualifications, and I had already supply taught in my hometown. So there was opportunity there, and people were telling me on the inside that I should apply for the job. It meant good money. It meant I could live at home for a bit longer and save a lot of money and pay off those uni debts. And everything looked perfect, except that one advert in the national paper that God brought my attention towards. It was an advert for teachers in the Bahamas. And now I know what you're saying. Yeah. Teaching in the Bahamas, that's your desire, not God's desire. But this is where I'm telling you, we both were on the same page on this. And it doesn't happen very often. Anyway, what eventually happened is, yes, I got the job. And off I went to the Bahamas. And when I got to the school I was teaching at, Temple Christian School, I realized the great big building beside the church, beside the school, was the church that was responsible for building the school. And that church happened to be called Evangelistic Temple, and it was part of the Assemblies of God. Now this is where God's sense of humor comes in, because remember, Canadians are rather conservative. Well, if you go to a church in the Bahamas, let's say a Methodist church, you're going to get a lot of amens and shouting and hallelujahs and jumping up and down. So if that's the Methodist church, can you imagine what this Assemblies of God, 1,000 members attending both services on a Sunday morning, that's what they draw. Can you imagine what that's going to be like? If you think of Sister Act, the movie, and then you multiply that by about 5, then you've got some sort of vision of what's going on in that evangelistic temple on a regular Sunday. So this was my introduction to, here's how you're going to live out your faith, Jeff. You're going to live it out in a really radical, different way than what you're used to. And boy, did that change me. I was in church 3 times a week, twice a Sunday, 1 midweek service. I was teaching in a Christian school. I was saturated by Christian people all around me, but even those who weren't Christians, this is the real shock. Because I was white, people thought I was a tourist, and the people that would often ask me if I wanted drugs were obviously the drug dealers. And the drug dealers thought, tourist, money, he'll buy drugs. So on average, about 3 times a week, I'd have to say, no, sorry, I don't want any drugs. I work here. I'm a Christian. I work at Temple Christian School. And the drug addicts, this is the one that blows me away. They would stop and say, oh, wow, that's great, man. Can you pray for me? And hey, keep evangelizing those children. You're doing a great job. Can you imagine, a street villain of England hustling you and you telling him you're a Christian? Could you imagine his response? I think it might be slightly different. Anyway, I want to continue with my Bahamas stories, because this is where I really get my wow moments, my God moments. But I'm going to save that for tomorrow. So come on back, listen to tomorrow. I'm going to give you 3 big wow moment stories. And I hope you stay with us. So let's close with the Lord's Prayer today. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. And give us this day our daily bread. And forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sin against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.